And welcome to this League versus League event. We are Team RPM, and today in Bahrain we are against Team FZR, and I am joined by RPM Jones. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Be interested to see this tonight. Excited to see some League v League racing. My first time watching this.
Yeah, same. It definitely is quite interesting and something very different, so I'm excited to see what happens tonight. And of course, it's the second time we've done this. We have done this once versus, I think, Team FFR, and I'm pretty sure we won that, so we'll see how we do tonight.
Yeah, and it's obviously for us, it's we know 9 of the drivers quite well, and 9 are really unknowns for us, so we don't really have an idea on pace. It's going to be interesting to see who comes to the front. Obviously, we know Colin well and we expect him to be up there, but I'm sure the other league also have some very quick drivers.
Yeah, of course, and also there are a few drivers who we know in Team ZFR. We do have Marco, Kimi, and Richard, who we do know. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do tonight. And yeah, overall, I'm excited to see what Team RPM can do. I'm not sure if they've really been preparing or talking tactically or whatever, but yeah, I'm excited to see what they could do. And already there's quite a few drivers in RPM on mediums.
Yeah, I think especially for this team racing, I think tactics will come into it. It's not saying there's going to be bad racing, but people may defend positions harder against other drivers, and they let people pass that quicker in their own team. So there's a less emphasis on the individual side of it today.
Yeah, definitely. And we have Colin, our first RPM driver to start his qualifying lap here in Bahrain. How do you think this qualifying is going to go?
Well, I expect Colin to be extremely quick. I think it's one of those tracks that traction's incredibly important on, so it can become very difficult to hook up every sector. So I think it can get mixed up very easily, and who can hook up the sectors the best. It's not easy to get the perfect lap here.
Yeah, it definitely isn't, especially track limits playing a big part in. Oh, we've already got retirement from Bakar.
And I'm trying to see where that's happened. It's just after the fast right and left. And that's, like you said, that's one of those areas where not just track limits, but you can lose traction easily. There's the fast right-hander in the third sector, and you've got the S's in a second sector, which it can be very easy to lose the car there.
Yeah, definitely. The curbs are quite big, especially where we see Colin going through now. That corner can be quite difficult, and we've already seen 2 ZFR drivers finish their laps. We've seen a couple more RPM drivers finish their laps.
And it's an early advantage to ZFR there, but all on mediums for RPM.
Yeah, all on mediums. So let's see how RPM Cave, I'll call him FDT for now. He does go P4 on the mediums again. So yeah, a lot of these RPM drivers going on the mediums. We've seen Westy, our first soft runner, in P6 with a 1:27.8.
Yeah.
Oh, and there seems to be a spin from Boris there.
And I think to look at the drivers there, Kimi and Daniel, those are very nice banker laps they've got on the board. But it's a very impressive time from Colin, 1:26.9 on mediums. Incredible.
Yeah, he never fails to impress, does he?
Yeah, I constantly watch him on board and really wish I could drive like he does.
Yeah, of course. He's mighty quick, and it definitely showed last race when he did win out in Brazil. And yeah, of course on the mediums with a really quick lap there. And I think already we've started to see some tactics. I saw some from the ZFR drivers when they. I think I saw Marco giving one of his teammates a bit of slipstream there. So yeah, already some team play coming to action, which we definitely do like to see in these league-to-league races.
Yeah, and obviously outside the top 10 we'll have free tyre choice, so that will come apart in the race. Obviously Becker will be getting that free tyre choice no matter what now. And I guess they have to communicate throughout the session to kind of figure out where each other are, if they can give each other a tow, or what strategy they're going to try and do. It's more than just driving as fast as you can like you usually do.
Yeah, definitely. As Cosmo now starting his lap, we'll see how he does. He's one of the drivers on the soft tyres, and we see Colin also fitting his fresh soft tyres, so he's hopefully going to be much faster. As we see Cosmo in the first sector set a 28 something. We don't have task telemetry unfortunately for these events, so I'm not sure what everyone else has done, but it definitely did seem like a clean sector 1.
Yeah, and a lot of people in the pits right now. I think Rick is out, but he's pitting in. It's been quite busy out on track. There's Colin and Kimi on the outlaps. But for that first run, you've got to watch out for that traffic, because everyone seems to be going out at the same time. So obviously everyone's in the pits at the moment, so...
Yeah, maybe it's a game of slipstream down the long back straights. We'll definitely see, but yeah, that is very interesting how everyone has decided to go into the pits all at the same time. And let's see what Cosmo does now towards the line after his first lap on first soft, and he does go P5 with a 1:27.4 and slots just behind FCT there.
Yeah.
And now a few people on there. Yeah, go on.
Colin, I'm just going to say Colin's fitted a soft, so he's no more strategy involved in his decision now, and he's fully going for this pole.
Yeah, let's see what he does towards the final corner now. About to start his lap. We'll stay on board and watch this very fast driver on his lap. And of course,
and I'll keep an eye on other drivers to see what times they're doing.
Yep, so towards turn 1 now, and I'm not sure how, but Colin seems to get every corner near perfection. And that's, as I think you were saying earlier, he really does use the whole of the track, as we see here, trying to gain as much advantage on his competitors as possible. And already 4.5 tenths up on his first lap on the mediums.
Yeah, and I'm just on board with Kimi whilst you're watching Colin, and he is about a tenth up through the first 2 sectors, so he looks like he's going to improve. It's a yellow flag in sector 3. I think that's just someone going slow.
Yes, apparently the name is ERZ. Yeah, ERZ, not FZR, so I think Rick got that a bit wrong. But yeah,
there's a lot of letters in the alphabet, and it's an easy mistake to make.
Yeah, it is.
I still don't know all 26, and I'm 26 now, so...
these league names are very confusing.
Yeah, all the abbreviations. Oh, that's a very fast lap from Colin. So he's now 8 tenths in front of second place, and really sets down the marker.
Yeah, that's a very fast lap. I'm trying to...
Daniel's in third place, is on a fast lap here. Kimi, who is in second, invalidated his lap.
Yep, Daniel 1 tenth up after the second sector, so if it stays like this, he'll still be quite a distance off Colin.
Moment.
Massive moment there, and he decides to pit
And that was very similar to the moment, I can't remember who the driver was, Jack Aitken, was it? It was filling in for Williams, ended up in the barrier there.
Oh, that's Cosmo. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, yeah. And I'm guessing that's that fast right-hander.
Yes, it is.
And he's going to have to stay there because he's got some people coming up to him.
Yeah, and I guess Daniel did a very good job not to pay into the wall there.
Yeah. And Dario's got himself up into 5th. But the pace of that front four at the moment is really quick. 6/10 they've got to 5th place. Oh, and I'm not going to be very good with pronunciation here. Zvona, I'm going to call him, is gone into 5th. They had been going 2 by 2 like Noah's Ark, but he's put an end to that.
Yeah, I think they have been going 2 by 2 quite a lot, trying to, I guess, get the slipstream. And yeah, it's quite a split field so far. We've got there's not really one team dominating, which is quite cool to see. We've got Jono, who does go.
And that's a great lap.
P6, yeah, very good lap.
Jono always tends to. I know from racing in low gear with him this season, he tends to wait later in the session to set his first lap.
Yeah.
He looks like he's run out of fuel, so maybe he'll go back and have one more go at it. But that's a great banker lap for him. Oh, and as we're speaking, Boris improves to put himself 3rd. So we've now got 1, 2, and 3 RPM.
That is, that's very good to see. And I think they're quite split apart with lap times, but it's good to see that they're all in the top 3, and it's good to see that we do have pace. And you talking about going 2 by 2, but we see again these ERZ guys going 2 by 2. We've got Zavone there, right behind his teammate, and Rick just set a 126.7, so puts him just behind Daniel and in front of John in P6.
Yeah, and I guess there's some work going on with toes around here a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the long straights, I think it would be a bit silly not to try and use the toe. We do have Marco coming towards the end of his lap, obviously a RPM driver, and he does go P8 for 126.9 on softs.
Yeah, so I mean, it's what have we got? It's an even split in the top 10, but obviously RPM at the moment are holding those top 3 spots, and it shows that it's close with pace around here. But maybe the RPM drivers in the top 3 there have just managed to hook up their laps a bit more.
Yeah, I think the RPM drivers are always pretty decent at getting their laps hooked together, especially towards the end of sessions. And I think Rick is just trying to get out the slipstream of the driver behind, who's quite far back. But definitely not trying to give the other guys any advantage whatsoever.
If anyone wants to tell me if my microphone's working better there, I've tried to unplug it and plug it in. It's the only solution I know. I'm not very technical with these things.
Yeah, if you could let us know, because if it doesn't get better, I'm not sure, because I can't hear it. But I can't hear it in the stream, so it could be me.
Yeah, I might be able to change headset. If not, if anyone can tell me if that's improved. If not, I will try changing headset.
We do have Richard, who is also an RPM driver on the lap now on Flash Softs. He hasn't set a lap yet, so let's see what he can do for Team ERZ. And he goes P10 with a 1:27.1. So RPM, I think they're really showing their pace here. We've got top 3 lockout, and yeah, we are looking quite fast tonight. And we do have Jella on his lap as well. A lot of RPM drivers in the pit so far, or on their out laps. And Jella of I think he may have backed off his lap. So we'll see what he can do towards the end of the session. We also have Westy, who seems to be on the lap, coming through the first sector now.
Yeah, and I'm just on board with Kimi at the moment. He's 3 tenths up on his time through the first 2 sectors, coming into the final sector now, and he's getting a nice tow from one of his teammates.
Yeah, he is. I think their strategy in qualifying is pretty solid with the slipstream. So let's see what Kimi can do. And he goes second with a 1:26.1. That is a really good time indeed.
Still Colin's half a second ahead though, so that Colin time is really a benchmark. And it doesn't seem like people are managing to get there.
No, I think Colin is Westy, I think, just touched the curb there and didn't wanted to avoid spinning. He's gonna have to get out of the way of the driver behind him. I'm not sure if he is on a lap. I'm not really sure who that is. So that Rick is going to start his lap now, and he's got the slipstream of one of the drivers ahead of him, Westy that is. So good to see the teamwork going on there as well. And Westy, of course, I'm pretty sure on a lap as well, so let's see what they could do. It looks like Boris is also on a lap right behind him, and FCT has just started the lap. So everyone's starting their laps now.
Yeah, and Jono's right behind FCT there.
Yeah, we do have Cosmo is going to be the first RPM driver to finish. Oh, he gets on the accelerator very early there. A bit too early and goes wide, but let's see what he could do anyway as he does spin and is out of qualifying, unfortunately. Luckily he's off the track, so that's not going to affect
Daniel's retired at the same time there.
Yeah, you can see the stricken car of Cosmo, unfortunately, and it looks like Rick did invalidate, so he won't be able to improve on his lap. Let's see what Westy can do.
Same as Boris. FCT best was a 10th up in his first sector. If he can maintain that, he might be able to pit Kimi to second.
Yeah, my Westy goes P13. FCT now 2 tenths above his fastest lap. So yeah, let's see what he could do. Let's see if he can pip Kimi 2 seconds and lock out the front row for Team RPM as he comes to the final corner now. Gets on the curb a bit nice and tidy now towards the line. And he does get it, 1:25.9. So 3 tenths of Colin, and we have locked out the front row. Yep, and the final driver to cross the line is Miles with a 1:27.1. So it looks very promising for Team RPM then.
Yeah, so for the first 6 we got it 2 by 2. And then Rick and Marco are splitting it, and then there's 4 drivers in a row for, you'll have to remind me the name, is it ERZ?
And then, yes.
Obviously we had a few retirements for RPM, so there's a few staying out there back, but that makes their whole strategy quite interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting strategy because let's go through the order now. We've got 2 RPM drivers and then 2 ERZ drivers, then 2 RPM drivers, then Marco always Vic, and then we got 4 ERZ drivers. So it's quite a mix in this in the grid order. So we do have Colin on pole from FCT, then Kimi, then Daniel, then Boris, Jono, Marco, Rick, Dario, and Zavone. And then outside the top 10, all with choice of strategy, we've got Rijad, Malice, Cosmo, Westy, Cheese, Desider, Jella, and Baka. Both RPM drivers, Jella and Baka, unfortunately were not able to set a lap.
Yeah, no. I don't know, obviously Baka didn't finish. I didn't see Galar. I don't think he retired. Maybe he was just struggling with track limits a little bit. So that's something you've got to watch in a race, because obviously, as we know from league racing, getting penalties from track limits can really hurt your race result at the end. So it's something you've really got to watch.
Yeah, especially because these league races are very close. So yeah, any sort of penalty can really damage your race, unless of course there's a safety car which could might be able to take away some of your penalties.
Yeah, and that's obviously a great point from you. Is the interesting thing is the safety car and how that can change strategies. You know, certainly in a safety car in the early stages is more welcomed by the top 10 who are stuck on soft, but it really works against the guys behind. Yeah,
so the predicted pit stop strategy is a 2-stop soft meds, and we will we'll see the tires now, the tire choices. So we do have, of course, the top 10 on soft, and then the 2 ERZ drivers of Rijad and Malice, and then the 2 RPM drivers of Cosmo and Westy on mediums. We also have the bottom 2 on mediums. So the only drivers outside the top 10 on softs are the 2 ERZ drivers of Cheese and Zido, I'm going to call him.
Yeah, and hopefully it's a clean start and we'll see some good racing. I mean, just looking from 9th to 12th, it's very packed for ERZ here. And Riyadh and Malice will be very well placed with their strategies if they've chosen the mediums. I haven't actually checked the tyres yet.
Yeah, they will.
So if they can get a nice start, they could really disrupt some things.
Yeah, but they do have... Yeah, go on.
So I was going to say, that's where you might see the teamwork, because you've got obviously Dario and Zvona in front for that ERZ, and when their tyres go off, will they let the medium boys go to try and put a spanner in the works for RPM? And obviously Cosmo and Westy will be looking to keep up with those guys or overtake them. Yeah,
of course. And yeah, the 2 guys on mediums, Richard and Malice, will have to be careful not to trip over their teammates on softs ahead of them. But yeah, as you said earlier, it's all about team play, really. It's not really about of course, it is about the individual driver's pace, but team play will play a big factor in this race.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, for us, it's a very different way to manage it. We're used to racing for ourselves, I guess, and this is a very different thing.
Of course. So we do have 29 laps of the Bahrain Grand Prix. We got 4 lights. We got 5 lights, and it starts out, and away we go. It looks like Kimi does get a good start and is already ahead of FCT, and it looks like he's going up the inside of Colin there into turn 1. Colin's going to try and keep the outside, and he's now got the inside for turn 2. It's going to be close up towards the 4th corner there, and a bit of squabbling going on behind. It looks like Colin's going to try and keep it all the way around the outside, and he does manage to take...
But
take
FCT
back.
is very close behind, or KF Series now known. And Jono's Up in fourth. Oh, and a dive from Daniel right up the inside of Jono there.
Yep, Jono's going to want to get that back, and Jono is keeping very close. He gets squeezed off the track a bit, and does go a bit wide as well. So it looks like a good start, a decent start for RPM, and also a good start for Kimi there and Daniel to get past a few drivers. We'll see the position changes. So not a lot of positions lost or gained really. It looks like everyone's roughly stayed the same, except for, unfortunately, it looks like Westy has lost a few positions and Jella unfortunately has lost a position. And our Bora is very close to to Jono, and there seems to be a bit of a train forming throughout the whole field, and it's just going to be a bit of a slipstream train until DRS comes into play. So we're going to go down the inside into the first turn. He has a look on Dario, but unfortunately not alongside enough to be able to make the move.
And Evil Master saying OMG Jones, you might have to clarify for that. I have switched headsets now.
Yeah, it does sound. It does sound better. Hopefully, it is.
Yeah, I think my old headset was on its last legs, to be honest with you. But back to the rating. Enough of the sound.
Can you see tires? Yes, you can see tires. Sorry, Jones, for interrupting there.
Yeah, and we've got Kimi really keeping with Colin here and chasing after. And the gaps are forming bigger behind. And
yeah.
I think Jono and Boris are trying to keep with Daniel, but his pace is somewhere near the leaders, but not quite. And then Jono and Boris a bit further back.
Yeah, I think the top three are quite close in pace, and Daniel, I think, just dropping back a bit there. Marco and Dario keeping close behind the guys ahead, and also Rick is keeping fairly close behind as well, which is great to see.
Yeah, and Bakker is absolutely flying at the moment, up to 13th, obviously starting 18th, crashing out of qualifying, and he's going really well on those mediums.
Yep, he's got Zizo right behind him. Is going to try and make a move up the inside, and he does get 13th. But yeah, Bakker trying to get the switchback, and he will have a bit of a better run up towards turn 4. But yeah,
Zizo got the DRS there as well, which helped him. But he's run wide, which could have been DRS, missing his braking point that he's got used to.
Yeah, and
I'm seeing on Zizo that he has a yellow fuel sign 3 laps in, which isn't very promising.
He has a fuel sign.
Yeah, I can see on my screen. So he might not make it even halfway through this race if that's the case.
Well, yeah, the straights are pretty long, so it's going to be difficult. But if he could do it, then fair play to him.
Might have to have a go at Jeff for that one.
Yeah,
refueling his car.
Yeah, Jeff's been messing up a bit recently.
I think we've just got. Is Evil Master asking for the gaps?
Yeah,
I can see the gaps
got
on the stream as well. I think it's fine.
It looks like Kimi's out of DRS from Colin, so Colin really pushing early on, and FCT.
And Colin's putting some flyers there.
He is, and FCT is right on the back.
Right behind, yeah.
So
and it's going to be DRS.
It will. We'll see what he can do. I think this straight is quite short, so it'll be a bit difficult to get past here. But if he stays behind, of course, he'll have DRS for the remainder of the lap.
Yeah. And it's a tough corner to overtake into that one. It's quite a strange corner. It's probably best to wait for either the start-finish straight or the straight down here into the left-hander if you can get close enough.
Yeah, of course. The problem I have with doing that though is just the kind of S section that really puts me off when a driver is ahead. So I do see why people try and go for the move into turn 4. But yeah, as you said, it's quite a difficult corner.
Yeah, for me, I struggle with the whole track. I'd be watching out for people overtaking me rather than me overtaking them.
Yeah, it is quite a difficult track. It looks like Boris is really closing in on Jono there, and I guess they're just trying not to trip over each other as Boris has a bit of a moment there.
Yeah, and you wonder if we'll see some team play come in, and if Boris has the pace, Jono will maybe let him go.
Yeah, definitely. I think Boris will also have DRS, so Jono won't want to fight it too hard, because that will just slow them down. Oh, yellow,
there's a yellow flag.
Looks like
and that's
Jella.
RPM driver, Jella.
Yeah, unfortunately, getting back going.
Yeah, the right. It can be very easy to lose traction there. Another issue here is obviously in normal league racing where we're racing in the teams, you have a designated pit box. So if you know who your teammate is and you know they're pitting a certain lap, you pit the lap after or the lap before, so you don't double stack. In this, you don't know where you're going to pit, so that could be an issue for drivers that are too close. You never know which one you'll be assigned to.
You know what? That is a very good point. Yeah, it really is. I never would have thought of that, but yeah, they don't have an assigned pit box, so
See, I need any advantage I can get, Shaq. I'm that slow around the track. I'm always thinking of any other things I can get.
Well, yeah, you know, that was a very good point, and it will make strategy that much more difficult. As we did see FCT having a look up the inside of Kimi there. Of course, fellow RPM driver Kimi is, so FCT will know how he races, but of course, it's always difficult overtaking people whether you know them or not, and but FCT does have DRS, and the gap to Colin now is 3.3 seconds.
Yeah, and another question here is, when are we going to see the crossover from those softs to the mediums? When will the mediums start to have their day and the softs start really dropping off? And as we say, that FCT on Kimi.
Yeah, gets it before the corner, even before the braking zone. Kimi will have DRS
here. Yeah, and he does, and he's very close. And yeah, and this will bring Daniel back into play massively. He's now within DRS range of both of them.
Yeah, but if they
for
keep
RPM, they're hoping that Boris and Jono can catch up to this, because otherwise they're going to be flooding into the top 3.
Yeah, of course. Daniel is very close behind. He's now within DRS. So the top, I guess Kimi will want to. Oh, looks like Jella, unfortunately for Team RPM, has retired.
So I guess he's retired in pit lane now.
Yeah, he does. He
like
has. Kimi might want to slow down FCT just a bit to allow Daniel to close up even more.
And obviously it won't be a safety car. I don't know if Colin realises what's happening. He'll be looking at yellow flag and going, I hope there's not a safety car, because he has got a 4-second gap now.
Actually, Jella has come out of the pits, so he's going to retire on track, unfortunately.
And
there's the yellow flags. Richard has spun.
And he was the leading of the medium runners, so that's a bit of a disaster for him, because his strategy was going to pay dividends potentially.
Yeah, it looks like.
And I think that's front wing gone as well.
Yeah, FCT tries to go up the inside of Kimi there. They both leave each other enough space. It looks like they're still leaving each other quite a fair bit of space, and FCT does get past. But Daniel now, look how close he is in the back of them.
Yeah, and this is, it's so close there. I'm watching on board from Daniel at the moment, and it's extremely tight.
Yeah, through their S's, they're both keeping it very, very clean, which is great to see.
Brilliant driving by FCT to keep that round the outside.
It is now up the inside.
Probably gone off into the desert somewhere.
Yeah, that was a great piece of driving, and up to P2 now. So now hopefully he'll be able to try and push on.
They will both have DRS on him here.
They will. It's going to be quite difficult for FCT, as they're both very close, and Kimi's gonna try. FCT's gonna try and stick it around the outside. This is great defending.
What, from these three. I was about to say, and it's commentators because I was about to say, from these three, it's been incredible and clean racing. I don't know. I think that was a racing incident from watching behind on Daniel, but you never know. But incredible racing for 4 or 5 laps there between those two.
Yeah, that was unfortunately ending not how Kimi would have wanted. Yeah, changed his front wing there, and now Daniel.
try and get the hards on maybe, and go for a different strategy. I don't know. I'm not fully aware of the tyre deg here.
Tyre deg isn't too great, but it's not the worst as well. As Daniel gets back past Brian, FCT should I say, and but FCT does now have DRS. He is getting closer, but not close enough.
He's got a 3-second penalty there, but he's got a 6-second gap to his brother behind him. Yeah, I think Colin's probably having, in some way, quite an, I don't know what the yellow flag's for, sector 1.
Marley's pass spun.
Yeah, and like we said, there's so many corners where you can lose it. It's not, you know, it's not always a bad mistake by the driver. It's just you can get on the throttle too early, or you come into the corner too fast. It can be a very, very difficult track for traction at times.
Yeah. What I'm seeing, or what I'd like to see, I think they're closing in a bit, but all this fighting from Daniel and FCT has really been helping Boris and John out, closing up. They're now 1.8 seconds, and the gap is coming down ever so slightly.
Yeah, and with all that fighting, Colin is now nearly 7 seconds ahead. Which means if he was to pit now, he'd be coming out in 10th, I would say.
Yeah, Daniel. Yeah.
Speeding in the pit lane, Daniel.
Oh wow, I didn't catch that one.
He can't serve that in the pit lane, obviously, and he's going to hards.
Yeah,
so
Jono,
he'll be kind of hoping for a safety car to serve that penalty.
Yeah, it looks like Rick has gone on to meds, and also Jono has gone on to meds. So split strategy then.
Yeah, so I mean, just looking at Kimi also went on to medium tyres, and maybe Daniel has a setup that's worse on tyre wear, and that could be the reason why.
Yeah, and Daniel got just out ahead of Wesley, which is great for him, but he doesn't want to. Wesley might come back at him, and Daniel really won't want to be held up by Wesley, because of course he's currently fighting FCT. He's just able to build the gap now that he doesn't have anyone to slow him down. Yeah,
and we're now looking at top 3 of RPM again.
Yeah. Well, it's currently looking promising for RPM. I think these top 3, Colin, FCT and Boris, all high gear drivers, or used to be high gear drivers, they're all showing great pace, and we've seen in our so we've seen in our league, they're very fast and they're further showing their pace tonight. Brian has pitted for medium tyres.
It's an interesting one as well, because obviously we know a lot of the guys in the league. We chat between the leagues. It's interesting to see how they fare against other leagues, because you never know. You know, you can see them go, oh, he's quick, but you don't know comparatively to the other leagues. So it's always interesting to see them come up against the other drivers.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it really is, especially because we don't really know a lot of these drivers too well and how they race. So yeah, it's interesting to see how they adapt to different race styles. And FCT has come out behind Daniel, but he is on the fresher, faster tyres, and luckily for him, he just about managed to get ahead of Zido there.
Yeah, not forgetting that Daniel has penalties as well, which in the end can help him, but I'd imagine on track he will be harrying him in a few laps.
Yeah, I think...
And a great point by Spritzy there. Bakker from 18th on the grid up to 5th on those mediums, obviously running a different strategy. He'll be very quick at the end of the race. I assume he'll be switching on the softs if there's no safety car, and it's really working out well for him, as Colin also pits from the lead.
Yeah, let's see what he does. I think all the RPM drivers are going on to mediums here, which is quite interesting to see. And it looks like the ERZ drivers have opted to stay out, really, except for Daniel. A lot of them have opted to stay out. Bakker now inherits the lead, so from last on the grid is now leading in Bahrain.
Yeah, and it's he's raced really well, shown good pace, and you know he was doing a lot of overtakes early on, but kept it consistent and nice. He would have been disappointed in his qualifying. He's making up for it now in the race.
Yeah, it looks like the RPM boys are getting a bit tangled up down at turn 1. Boris trying to get past Westy. I think, yeah, Westy playing the team game and just allowing the guys with the fresher tyres past so they can push on to see the...
Definitely looked like he backed off the throttle there. That's good teamwork.
Oh, and Rick up the inside. Oh, Rick has unfortunately spun on the S's on Kimi. That's really unfortunate because he just pit as well.
Yeah, and I ended up here a few weeks ago, and it's easy to get lost because you don't usually end up looking at that. You don't even realise there's a piece of gravel there.
Zido's out. He went wide and lost that on traction. So could that be a safety car then? It is a safety car.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I think it has to be looking at the guys coming behind. It's if they're battling out the corner, they could. Yeah. It's close
really close to the racetrack there, and that will really help Rick just going past the incident now.
Well, and Backer from 18th to first, and but the question is, what tyre does he go on now? He could have done with that happening a few laps later.
Yeah, I think.
Because he has to switch from mediums now, so does he go to hards?
The strategy said soft, too soft, but he is going on to softs. So will he have to pit again then?
He might have to, yeah.
That's the only disadvantage of being on fresh, soft tyres. Cosmo also comes in. He's been having a great race as well. He's onto the mediums.
He's speeding a few speeding in the pit lanes there as well. One for ERZ.
Yeah, a lot of guys in the pit lane then. Westy goes on to the softs.
Just thinking about Backer's strategy, obviously getting through the field. By the time the safety car comes in, that's probably lap 13 or lap 14.
He has quite a few laps.
If he wants to make them last, it's 15 laps, so he's going to have to pit again. So he's going to have to do 2 on the softs, unless he is like Sergio Perez on the tyres or Jenson Button. I certainly would be pitting very soon.
Yeah, no, I think it's a difficult call he had to make, definitely. But yeah, it looks like he will have to pit again. Of course, Bakker is a fast driver, and he's on the faster tyres, but it's going to be difficult. Westy, also in 13th, surrounded by ERZ drivers, has pitted for softs as well. So, I mean, to be fair, if Westy could try and maybe get ahead of all these ERZ drivers, then he could maybe slow them down a bit, and that would just help back up for when he has to pit again. And yeah, top 4 is all RPM, and they're all on fresh tyres. Well, I think that safety car has helped Jono and Boris quite a bit. They're now ahead of. Oh yes, of course, Daniel's back there because he spun, and but yeah, top 4 for RPM. That is, I think, a really good sight.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, Bakker stayed in 7th, but he has to pit again. If it had happened 4 or 5 laps later, he could have been looking at a potential podium there.
Yeah, of course.
But obviously he's going to have the pace on everyone around him. It's just how much will that advantage cost for if he's count for if he's got to pit again.
Yeah, I think if he could.
He's betting a safety car on lap 21.
Wow.
That's very specific. I like to hedge my bets a little bit and say I would have said between lap 14 and 29 to hedge my bets, but he's a braver man than me.
Oh wow. Oh, that wouldn't be too bad for Bakker. So
that would help Bakker massively, yeah.
Yeah, let's hope Spitzy is indeed good, but let's also hope it's not an RPM driver who's caused a safety car.
Absolutely, that's our little bit of bias coming in there. Interestingly, for ERZ, Malice with the safety car has switched on to hards with only 16 laps left. Did he must have started on mediums, I assume, so he's kind of been forced into that, so he's trying to one-stop it. Wesley seems to be doing similar to Bakker. I think you can see there that it's come at a time for the people who started on mediums that it's you kind of completely split on strategy. Do you two-stop or do you one-stop it on much slower tyres?
Yeah, I think strategy for all these guys who hadn't pit yet, it was, I think, a very difficult call, but we'll see how it goes in the rest of the race. Top 4 RPM looking quite good. Bakker on soft, so let's see if he could get ahead of Marco and Dario. And the safety car will be coming in this lap, so Colin will be leading the way. Of course, a very fast driver, so let's see if the top 4 could build a bit of a gap from Marco. And I'm guessing FCT won't be pushing Colin too hard down the straight. Like that Colin does good.
And that was another thing I was going to say. I wonder if there's a lot of communication regarding the restart there. You know, I assume they're in a party and talking to each other and saying, "I'm going now," kind of thing.
Yeah, perhaps, who knows? I'm guessing they do have some sort of communication. If Cosmo is in a battle with Daniel,
I think Boris and Jono made a bit of contact between each other, 2 RPM drivers, which you don't like to see.
No, definitely not. Do you know if they have damage or?
It doesn't look like it. It was just a bit of collision, and I think obviously it just makes you lose control a little bit. But they just switched positions and they're still in the top 4.
Yeah, Cosmo and the ERZ drivers are battling really hard there. Cosmo, unfortunately, he has Cosmo had to back out of that. Rick on the outside then. But yeah, of course, not battling it too hard.
Cosmo moves out the way. It looks like Rick has the pace.
Yeah,
at the moment there.
I think that's great teamwork from my boys.
Yeah, and at this point it's looking good for RPM. I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can.
Earlier I tried to. No,
now you're getting excited about the result. That's what it is. Yeah, Bakker on the soft here is really on the back of these ERZ drivers. Obviously, he won't have DRS for another lap or so. So it looks like he's going to save his ERS and be a bit patient, maybe.
Yeah, it's so DRS will be enabled next lap. So yeah, of course he does have to be patient, but I think he'll be faster all the way down to turn 10 and 11, before the back straight.
Yeah, and what's working well at the front is Colin and Brian are really kind of stretching their legs and building up a gap, and they've got Jono, not to say they're cannon fodder or anything, but almost as a shield, so they can get out in front, and these guys can either protect them or build a gap of their own.
Yeah, I think that's what's worked really well for RPM this race. Just the fact that we've got drivers who are able to push on and only focus on their race because they're all out at the front, and they're just securing a good result for RPM by being so fast from the very start of the race all the way to the very end of the race, and not really getting involved in any battles or anything. And Bakker really close to Dario now. He will have DRS this lap, but not on this back straight. He is using his DRS and he's getting very much closer. He's going to go to the inside and he's going to get the job done before the first corner. And it's he's now able to focus on getting Marco. You'll have DRS, but Marco will also have DRS.
And for strategy, obviously I imagine all the people in our chat are from RPM. If Bakker gets past Marco, it would be in the interest of RPM for Boris and Jono to let him go. Because he needs the gap.
Yeah.
And if he can have the pace, I'm not saying they'll hold them up. I don't think they need to hold them up or anything. But obviously, he's on the faster tyres. He's going to be faster for the next 4 or 5 laps, and he needs any gap he can get to get him, you know,
yeah.
in front of the ERZ boys in the midfield.
I think, yeah, once he gets past Marco, he will have to, yeah, just try and gain as much gap as possible. But yeah, Marco keeping within a 1 second gap to Boris, so it's not really helping out Backer too much. But Backer on the soft tyres, of course, will be much faster through the corners and on the exits of corners as well.
Yeah, and I know Spritzy's saying it's definitely going to be lap 21. If it's lap 21, I owe him a beer. That's what I'm saying.
Same. I'll get him one as well. The most expensive one I can find.
He's from the on Trent region, so just get him a Carling, and I'm sure he'll be happy.
You see, I don't know what that is, but I'll try and find it from my local Sainsbury's or something.
Yeah, you'll find it. Back to the racing though.
It looks like Boris and Jono swapped positions there, and Backer looked to be having a go on Marco, but Marco managed to keep the position.
Yeah, and at the moment it's incredibly close racing from 4th down to 9th. In a bit of a DRS train at the moment. Backer will be desperate to get past. Unfortunately, Jono and Boris are lending Marco a little bit of DRS at the moment.
Yeah, I think the problem with the ERZ boys is that down 7th to 9th, is that of course they have to get closer to Backer, so if one behind has got more pace, they can't really afford to battle it out. So
Backer's got
they're not really gaining
a great
too much.
exit there. Yeah, he will have him into the first corner here. He saved his ERS. There's been an incident. I'll look up for that.
Yeah, but it's
slow driver.
Backer does manage to get it before the first corner, and just has to keep it tidy. He will have DRS down towards turn 4, and he's got the position up into P5.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on here. Maybe a little bit of naughtiness going on. Cheese is going very slowly through sector 3, which was causing the yellow flags. He's staying out, but I don't know if you're seeing this.
Yeah.
He's not really accelerating or doing anything at the moment.
We'll see what
so I'm
he's
not sure
doing.
what's going on there. Just thought I'd let everyone know that's what's going on.
Oh, it looks like a spin from Boris.
And Boris, yeah, that's correct. He's just lost traction, and it can be easy to do downhill, under braking.
Yeah.
I know Spritzy knows that spin very well.
Yeah, it can be very difficult. Just this whole track, as you said earlier, is really difficult to get right lap after lap, and in a race with high fuel, the traction zones are really difficult.
Yeah, exactly, and if you don't have your car perfectly balanced with your driving style, it's so easy to lose it.
Yeah.
But the curves are dangerous as well. I think you mentioned them earlier. You get too much curve, and that could be it.
Looks like Backer getting past Jono there. Oh. Yes, Bitsy. I think big Sainsbury's would probably have it. The small Sainsbury's aren't too good in my area, unfortunately.
And I can see that Spritzy's saying, Jones, you're completely correct about me spinning there. I always lose control there, I think that's what his comment says.
So there's a big train of 4 cars right behind Jono, and I guess Jono is just going to have to do his best to defend. He's just out of range of DRS, unfortunately. No, he does have DRS this lap. Maybe not. I don't know, the thing came up on my screen, but he hasn't seemed to open it, so I think he has just missed the DRS, and it's going to be difficult to defend, definitely. But let's see what he could do. And this will just really help Becker if he could defend the position for some time. But do you think they would have, the medium runners would have to pit again as well, because they're on like 10 to 6 lap old tyres, and they would have to go 9 more laps? Did you think they would be making it to the end?
It's going to be a long time. Obviously without TAS today we can't see tyre wear. I don't think any of them are going to want to pit again unless they completely drop off. Jono is a particular worry on 10 lap old mediums.
Yeah, I think, yeah, as you said, they wouldn't want to pit, but if the thing is, if like if one or two drivers pit, that might force everyone else to pit, maybe.
Yeah, I've just seen Westy's pitted.
Yeah, he has.
He's had to take his second pair of softs. Westy had been, I think, in 12th at that point, and it would have been very aesthetically pleasing in 4x4. And Cheese is out. Yeah. Well, he was going extremely slowly.
Yeah, he was, and then he picked up the pace again because he was fighting his teammate. So, yeah, I'm not sure what that was about, but there doesn't seem to be a safety car.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not a safety car, because I was worrying that they might be doing a Nelson Piquet Jr. for a second, but I don't want to say anything. Yeah, and Spritzy said it, 4 times RPM, 4 times ERZ, and then 4 times RPM again. It had been that, and it had been even further down, but Marco's putting an end to that.
Yeah, it looks like
it's getting very close.
It is. Well, Jono did do a really good job to.
Yeah, Jono did. Yeah. They're fighting each other though. But the thing is, Jono, if he can keep them honest a little bit, Backer can get down the road a little bit.
Yeah, I think the less drivers, I guess, it would be the easier to defend.
Yeah, I mean he's in a 5. He's one of 5 cars in that sandwich.
Yeah, and Daniel's getting really hammered as well. I mean, he did do a really good job for Bakker, and Marco isn't really gaining too much on Bakker even after he overtook Jono. Jono's still keeping Marco a bit of company there, because of course they are on the same amount of tires, same like tire life roughly. And I think the reason why Marco was able to get past Jono so easily was just because of that DRS.
Yeah, and
it's like Daniel's right alongside Jono there, but Jono did have slipstream from Marco, but Marco.
It's very tight there, but he might gain the position back.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, so he's lost nothing, but he has lost the place. And it's very tight battling.
Yeah, I think it's really difficult for the ERZ boys right now, because they're trying to get past Bakker, but at the same time they're not really trying to fight each other. So it's just.
The problem is they're all stacked up on each other, and Jono's in the mix. They're not wanting to take each other out. They might race Jono a bit harder, but as I know from racing against Jono, he is very good at defending. He places his car in very good positions. Not that he had to defend much from me. He was usually way down the road, but he knows what he's doing under defence. And I think the ERZ boys are finding that out right now. He's doing a great job for his team at the moment.
I think our low gear champion is definitely showing why he is champion, and doing a really good job still defending from the guys behind him. And it looks like the ERZ boys have split up a bit. Marco 1.2 seconds from his team. He doesn't seem to have any wing damage that I know of, but yeah, he's just dropped back a bit.
And Sponer's just got a 3-second penalty there for corner cutting, or track limits.
Yeah, you can see it's now 3.1 seconds to Bakker from Daniel. So Daniel really isn't able to gain too much right now. And Jono being overtaken by John. I meant by Dario, should I say, and now Kimi. Just on the old tyres, they're struggling, and of course they both had DRS.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, he was on the, he's on the oldest tyres out of everyone. I think, will Bakker be pitting soon? He's 6 laps from the end, and his softs are 10 laps old.
If he could,
surely he's got to pit, but
he does. Yeah, I think it's really difficult for him because he does have to pit. His tyres are going to start wearing out really quick because, of course, when they go off the I don't know the term, when they go off the cliff or whatever, exactly. they really start to wear out faster and faster every lap. So that will just allow the ERZ team to gain every single lap. But of course, now that he's only 6 laps to the end, does he really want to pit? It looks like there's a spin there. That's Rick again, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I know Spritzy will probably put a comment on about that, maybe the Kylie Minogue song. I'm saying nothing. Yeah, no, it is a dilemma, because I think Bakker's going to stay and try and make it on the soft, which would be incredible. Because if he pits now, he's going to have way too many people to catch up to and overtake. It's going to be almost impossible to gain the positions.
I mean, it's Uricha getting another penalty. Getting a penalty. I'm not sure if he had one earlier, but yeah, I think it's going to be a tense moment for Bakker towards the end because Daniel's gaining on him a few tenths every lap, I think, but there's only a few laps left, so it's going to be close. It definitely is.
And at the moment, Daniel's, even though you'd think Bakker's tyres going off, he's not closing that gap up to Bakker at the moment.
Yeah, he's not closing out that much actually. He did a bit, but he's kind of just staying there. He's not gaining too much.
Yeah.
Well, I say that.
I'm kind of completely confused as to what the strategy is here for Bakker. I think he has to stay out now. It's far too late to pit, but
but Daniel's just gained like a whole second near enough. Bakker stays out. Yeah, he's got what, 4 laps to go.
Yeah,
there's no chance he can pit now.
Kimi puts in the fastest lap of the race. So these guys are charging after Bakker at the moment. To be fair to Jono, he's still sticking with them, still within DRS just about. I can see his DRS are open, even though he's outside the time. He could do with just sticking there. Yeah, and it's obviously we've got the front 3 RPM on. It's a yellow flag and it's a spin in sector 1.
That would be for Malis.
And he's on the hard tyres, yeah. I don't think that was the
there's a big off there for Jono there. He gets a penalty. I'm not sure why, but yeah, he gets overtaken by Marco. And Daniel now 1 second from Bakker, so Bakker's gonna have to be doing some mighty overtaking. He's not really saving his ERS, so it's gonna be so difficult for him. But let's see what he can do. Yeah, he's gonna have to do some mighty defending there.
4th to 7th, ERZ are packing out that midfield. We've got the front 3 RPM, and then 8th, 9th, and 10th. Well, certainly 8th and 9th are very comfortable with their gaps, and Rick in 10th is under a bit of pressure from Zvone for that final points position.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, Jono does have the penalty, so if he does get Marco, he's gonna have to build up a gap. And Daniel's now so close to Bakker. So it is gonna be, yeah.
I imagine Bakker's having to be extremely careful on those tyres on exits, that he doesn't spin them up too much.
Yeah, the gap's now 4 times. Well, he's right behind, so he'll get the full benefit of DRS, and better tyres, less worn out tyres.
I think what we're seeing here is Baker's approaching the cliff at 13 to 14 laps on those tyres.
Yeah.
Which now the ERZ drivers have to be extremely careful because they're so close together behind that Baker's tyres are going. They don't want to trip over each other.
Yeah, I think this was their biggest. I think this has been their biggest weakness throughout this race. The fact that they're all normally behind one RPM driver. There's about 3 or 4 of them behind one RPM driver, and they're just tangling over each other, trying to get past this Backer. Unfortunately, gets a penalty there.
But I think that's the tyres, and Colin's trying to take that extra point back for RPM.
A 15 lap old mediums as well.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I don't think that'll be beat.
I don't think it will as well.
And he might get overtaken twice here, Backer. Yeah, it looks like it.
He's still going to try go up the inside. He's side by side, near enough.
I was on board with Kimi there, and he's cut the corner a bit there. He's cut the corner to get. He gets a bit of an advantage. He got extremely close to his teammate Daniel there under braking. Nearly went straight into the back of him.
That was very
Backer
close.
does have a 4-second gap though. Obviously he's got this penalty now and they're probably going to catch up, but he does have a gap behind. If he can just keep within their DRS, he might be able to get those points on the board.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, he's going to have to try and keep in DRS, but he's really struggling on the exits of these corners. And with Bahrain, the long high-speed corners are really difficult on the tyres, as you can see here. Backer going wide a bit, so yeah, he's going to have to try and do his best to get it home even.
Yeah, it's I personally wouldn't like to be driving on those softs myself.
No, definitely not,
but it's incredible that he's managed to, he's losing time, but he's not losing as much as you think on 14-lap old softs. So it's an incredible drive from him, and don't forget he's come up from 18th on the grid.
Yeah, I think he's done a mighty job tonight to get to the stage MP5. A different strategy. And I think for the most part it has paid off.
He's the driver of the day so far, the way he's come through the field. I think Kimi's also driven really well. He's had to make a recovery obviously after he had that bit of contact. But Colin and Brian just in a league of their own today. Amazingly consistent and fast times.
Yeah, and of course they've managed to stay with each other near enough the whole race. So Colin has just been pulling FCT along, and I think that's what really helped RPM. Just the teamwork, pulling each other along, getting out of each other's way when they're on different strategies, and I think just the overall teamwork. Of course, this is a team event, and it's just really helped them get the results that they need last race and this race as well.
Yeah, and I don't personally know how these work. Is it won by who wins the race, or is it you total up the points?
Or
are you also as clueless as me?
I'm also as clueless as you.
As you can tell everybody, we're last minute draft. We've been dealing with a storm today.
Yes, we have.
It's nearly the weekend and we've switched our brains off.
Marco and John are having a bit of a fight there on the final lap. John unfortunately with a penalty, but he's still keeping with Marco, and he's going to have to go the long way, all the way around the outside into turn 4. Can he have a go at it? Is keeping it. Marco gets a bit sideways there, and Jono gets back up into P7.
Great move through that. Beautiful. Only 3 seconds in the final sector.
Well, Boris is right behind Marco as well, so Boris might be able to get a position as well. But yeah, Colin and FCT has kind of been in a league of their own tonight. 12.4 seconds from the nearest driver, which is Kimi in ERZ. So yeah, we were able to lock out the front two in qualifying, and we're going to lock it out again for the race as Colin slows down for the line, and he is going to win in Bahrain just ahead of FCT there. It's been a great race from Team RPM there.
Incredible.
And that is 2 wins in a row.
And Bakker is in a little bit. He might be able to hold on to 6th.
He will.
Just get to line as quick as possible. It's going to be very tight.
He does.
And he does. He holds on to 6th. What a drive! What a drive!
I think
how
that
the hell
is
he
drive
kept
of
those
the
tyres
day.
going, I have no idea. 17 laps on soft tyres, incredible.
That is, especially because the medium runners did 17 laps, and you could see their tyres are starting to go off. So to do 17 on the softs is really great.
So we see 2 retirements from ERZ, 1 retirement for RPM, 6 top 10s from RPM, as well as the 1-2, and 4 top 10s and a podium from Kimi for ERZ.
Yeah, I think that was a really good race, and they're really different from, as Bakker does get driver of the day there. But these races are really different from normal league races, so it's quite cool to see how the teams work together there to try and win. And Colin is his second league versus league event win.
Yeah, and it looks like he might be sponsored by Codemasters, now EA Sports. He's throwing out PlayStation games there. Yeah, great race from the front 2 there. Absolutely in league of their own. And obviously, don't forget, Brian was under such pressure from 2 cars. I think it was Kimi and Daniel for about 5-6 laps. And he just kept it all together.
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, that was great teamwork and great pace from everyone tonight. So it's Colin who wins from FCT. They were both in a league of their own tonight. Then we've got Kimi, Daniel, Dario, and then Bakker, driver of the day, coming from 18th to 6th with 17 lap old softs. A really great race from him. Then Marco, Boris, Jono, Cosmo, and then we've got Zavone, Always Rick, Marlis, Westy, Richard, Cheese, and then Zido and Jella, unfortunately, all 3 retirements.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching that tonight. I think usually, obviously, in league races we have the podium chats. I don't think that'll be a thing tonight, but it was a really different format tonight, and really interesting to watch. A bit more exciting because there's a lot more strategy just in the tyres and other stuff going on. You know, there's for positions, people are trying to do the right thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. So thanks for having me, Chef.
Yeah, thanks for being here tonight. Yeah, I think it was a great race, and I think these events are really cool. So that's the end of that, and I'm excited to see what other league versus league events we can do in the future. But that'll be it for tonight. It is the end of the RPM season. It has been a great season, so there won't be any streams for next week, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that will be it until we come back for next season. Have a good night.